so, sir. It begins with Pyrrhus.
Ah, the rugged Pyrrhus. He whose sable arms, black as his purpose, did the night resemble when he lay couched in the ominous horse, hath now this dread and black complexion smeared with heraldry more dismal.
Head to foot?
Head to foot, now he is total jewels, horridly tricked with blood of fathers, mothers, daughters, sons, baked and empasted with the parching streets that lend a tyrannous and damned light to their lord's murder, roasted in wrath and fire, and thus orsized with coagulate gore, with eyes like carbuncles, the hellish Pyrrhus old grandsire Priam seeks. So, proceed you, sir.
On God, my lord, well spoken, with good accent and good discretion.
Anon he finds him, striking too short his breeks. His antique sword, rebellious to his arm, lies where it falls, repugnant to command. Unequal matched, Pyrrhus at Priam drives, in rage, strikes wide. But with the whiff and wind of his fell sword, the unnerved father falls. Then, senseless Ilium, seeming to feel his blow, with flaming top stoops to his base, and with a hideous crash takes prisoner Pyrrhus ear. For lo, his sword, which was declining on the milky head of Reverend Priam, seemed in the air to stick. So as a painted tyrant Pyrrhus stood, and like a neutral to his will and matter, did nothing. But, as we often see against some storm, the silence reigns. The rock stands still, the bold wind speechless, and the orb below as hush as death. Anon the dreadful thunder doth rend the region. So, after Pyrrhus' pause, aroused vengeance sets him new a work. And never did the Cyclops' hammers fall on Mars' armor, forged for proof etern, with less remorse than Pyrrhus' bleeding sword now falls on Priam. Out! Out, thou strumpet fortune! All you gods in general synod, take away her power! Break all the spokes and fellies from her wheel, and bowl the round nave down the hill of heaven, as low as to the fiends.
This is too long.
It shall to the barbers with your beard. Prithee, say on. He's for a jig or a tale of bawdry, or he sleeps. Say on, come to Hecuba.
But who, oh woe, had seen the Moblid Queen?
The Moblid Queen?
Oh, that's good. Moblid Queen was good.
Run barefoot, up and down, threatening the flames, with bison room, a clout upon that head, where her late the diadem stood, and for a robe about her lank and all timid loins, a blanket in the alarm of fear caught up. Who this had seen, with tongue in venom steeped, 'gainst fortune's state would treasoner pronounce. But if the gods themselves did see her then, when she saw Pyrrhus make malicious sport in mincing with his sword her husband's limbs, the instant burst of clamor that she made, unless things mortal moved them not at all, would have made milch the burning eyes of heaven, and passion in the gods.
Look, he has not turned his colour, and has tears in his eyes. Prithee, no more.
'Tis well. I'll have thee speak out the rest of this soon. Good my lord, will you see the players well bestowed? Do you hear? Let them be well used, for they are the abstract and brief chronicles of the time. After your death, you were better have a bad epitaph than their ill report while you live.
My lord, I will use them according to their deserts.
God's bodikins, man, much better. Use every man after his desert, and who shall scape whipping? Use them after your own honor and dignity. The less they deserve, the more merit is in your bounty. Take them in.
Come, sir.
Follow him, friends. We'll hear a play tomorrow. Wait, sir, wait. Dost thou hear me, old friend? Can you play the murder of Gonzaga?
Aye, my lord.
We'll have it tomorrow night. You could, for a need, study a speech of some 12 or 16 lines, which I would set down and insert in it, could you not?
Aye, my lord.
Very well. Follow that lord, and look you, mock him not.
Aye, my good lord.
Ah, my good friends, I'll leave you till tonight. You are welcome to Elf.
My good lord.
Aye, so goodbye to you. Now I am alone. Oh, what a rogue and peasant slave am I! Is it not monstrous that this player here, but in a fiction, in a dream of passion, could force his soul so to his own conceit that from her working all his visage want, tears in his eyes, distraction in his aspect, a broken voice, and his whole function suiting with forms to his conceit, and all for nothing, for Hecuba! What's Hecuba to him, or he to Hecuba, that he should weep for her? What would he do had he the motive and the cue for passion that I have? He would drown the stage with tears and cleave the general ear with horrid speech. Make mad the guilty and appall the free, confound the ignorant and amaze indeed the very faculties of eyes and ears. Yet I, a dull and muddy metal rascal, peak like John o' Dreams, unpregnant of my cause, and can say nothing. No, not for a king, upon whose property and most dear life a damned defeat was made. Am I a coward? Who calls me villain, breaks my pate across, plucks off my beard and blows it in my face, tweaks me by the nose, gives me the lie of the throat, as deep as to the lungs? Who does me this? Ah! Zounds! I should take it, for it cannot be but I am pigeon-livered and lack gall to make oppression bitter. Or ere this I should have fatted all the region kites with this slave's awful, bloody, bawdy villain, remorseless, treacherous, lecherous, kindless villain! Oh, vengeance! Why, what an ass am I! This is most brave that I, the son of a dear father murdered, prompted to my revenge by heaven and hell, must like a whore unpack my heart with words and fall a-cursing like a very drab, a scullion, fie upon it, full of brains. I have heard that guilty creatures sitting at a play have, by the very cunning of the scene, been struck so to the soul that presently they have proclaimed their malefactions. For murder, though it have no tongue, will speak with most miraculous organ. I'll have these players play something like the murder of my father before mine uncle. I'll observe his looks. I'll tempt him to the quick. If he do blench, I know my course. The spirit that I have seen may be a devil, and the devil hath power to assume a pleasing shape, yea, and perhaps out of my weakness and my melancholy, as he is very potent with such spirits, abuses me to damn me. I'll have grounds more relative than this. The play's the thing, wherein I'll catch the conscience of the king.
And can you, by no drift of conference, get from him why he puts on this confusion, grading so harshly all his days of quiet with turbulent and dangerous lunacy?
He does confess he feels himself distracted, but from what cause he will by no means speak.
Nor do we find him forward to be sounded, but with a crafty madness keeps aloof when we would bring him on to some confession of his true state.
Did he receive you well?
Most like a gentleman.
But with much forcing of his disposition.
Neither of question, but of our demands most free in his reply.
Did you receive him to any pastime?
That it so fell out that certain players we overtook on the way. Of these we told him, and it did seem in him a kind of joy to hear of it. They are here about the court, and as I think, they have already ordered this night to play before him.
It is most true. And he beseeched me to entreat your majesties to hear and see the matter.
With all my heart. And it doth much content me to hear him so inclined. Good gentlemen, give him a further edge and drive his purpose into these delights.
We shall, my lord.
Sweet Gertrude, leave us to, for we have closely sent for Hamlet hither, that he, as twere by accident, may hear and to feel you.
My child, come hither.
My lord?
Her father and myself, lawful espiles, will so bestow ourselves that, seeing unseen, we may of their encounter judge and gather by him, as he has behaved, if it be the affliction of his love, or know that thus he suffers for.
I shall obey you. And for your part, Ophelia, I do wish that your good beauties be the happy cause of Hamlet's wild so shall I hope your virtues will bring him to his wonted way again, to both your honors.
Madam, I wish it may.
Ophelia, walk you here. Gracious, so please you, we will bestow ourselves. Read on this book, my child, that show of such an exercise may colour your loneliness. We are oft to blame in this. 'Tis too much proved that with devotion's visage and pious action we do sugar all the devil himself.
Oh, 'tis too true. How smart a lash that speech doth give my conscience. The harlot's cheek, beautied with plastering art, is not more ugly to the thing that helps it than is my deed to my most painted word. Oh, heavy burden.
I hear him coming. Let's withdraw, my lord.
To be or not to be, that is the question. Whether 'tis nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, or to take arms against a sea of troubles and by opposing end them, to die, to sleep no more, and by a sleep to say we end the heartache and the thousand natural shocks that flesh is heir to. Oh, 'tis a consummation devoutly to be wished, to die, to sleep, perchance to dream. Aye, there's the rub. For in that sleep of death, what dreams may come, when we have shuffled off this mortal coil, must give us pause. There's the respect that makes calamity of so long life, for who would bear the whips and scorns of time? The oppressor's wrong, the proud man's contumely, the pangs of despised love, the law's delay, the insolence of office, and the spurns that patient merit of the unworthy takes. And who himself might his quietus make with a bare bodkin? Who would fardels bear, to grunt and sweat under a weary life, but that the dread of something after death, the undiscovered country from whose bourne no traveler returns, puzzles the will, and makes us rather bear those ills we have than fly to others that we know not of. Thus conscience does make cowards of us all, and thus the native hue of resolution is sicklied o'er with the pale cast of thought. And enterprises of great pitch and moment with this regard, their currents turn awry and lose the name of action. Soft you know, the fair Ophelia. Nymph, in thy orisons be all my sins remembered.
Good my lord. How does your honor consider?
I humbly thank you well.
My lord, I have remembrances of yours that I have longed to redeliver. I pray you now receive them.
No, not I. I never gave you aught.
My honored lord, you know right well you did. And with them words of so sweet breath composed as made the things more rich, their perfume lost. Take these again, for to the noble mind rich gifts wax poor when givers prove unkind. There, my lord.
Are you honest?
My lord?
Are you fair?
What means your lordship?
That if you be honest and fair, your honesty should admit no discourse to your beauty.
Beauty, my lord, is better commerce than with honesty?
Aye, truly. For the power of beauty will sooner transform honesty from what it is to a bawd than the force of honesty can translate beauty into his likeness. This was sometime a paradox, but now the time gives it proof. I did love you once.
Indeed, my lord, you made me believe so.
You should not have believed me. For virtue cannot so inoculate our old stock, but we shall relish of it. I loved you not.
I was the more deceived.
Get thee to a nunnery. Why wouldst thou be a breeder of sinners? I am myself indifferent honest, but yet I could accuse me of such things that it were better my mother had not borne me. I am very proud, revengeful, ambitious, with more offenses at my beck than I have thoughts to put them in, imagination to give them shape, or time to act them in. What should such fellows as I do crawling between earth and heaven? We are errant knaves all. Believe none of us. Go thy ways to a nunnery. Where's your father?
At home, my lord.
Let the doors be shut upon him, that he may play the fool nowhere but in his own house. Farewell.
Oh, help him, ye sweet heavens.
If thou dost marry, I'll give thee this plague for thy dowry. Be thou as chaste as ice, as pure as snow, thou shalt not escape calumny. Get thee to a nunnery. Farewell! Or, if thou wilt needs marry, marry a fool. For wise men know well enough what monsters you make of them. To a nunnery. Go, and quickly too. Farewell!
Heavenly powers restore him.
I have heard of your paintings too, well enough. God hath given you one face, and you make yourselves another. You jig and amble and you lift. You nickname God's creatures and make your wantonness your ignorance. Go to, I'll no more on it. It hath made me mad! I say we will have no more marriage. Those that are married already, all but one, shall live. The rest shall keep as they are. To a nunnery go!
Oh,
Bereit
what
zum
a noble
Ausrücken.
mind is here o'erthrown. The courtiers, soldiers, scholars, eye, tongue, sword, the expectancy and rose of the fair state, the glass of fashion and the mold of form, the observed of all observers, quite down. And I of ladies most deject and wretched that sucked the honey of his music vows, now see that noble and most sovereign reason, like sweet bells jangled, out of tune and harsh, that unmatched form and stature of flown youth, blasted with ecstasy. Oh, woe is me, to have seen what I have seen. See what I see.
Love, his affections do not that way tend, nor what he spake, though it lacked form a little, was not like madness. There's something in his soul, o'er which his melancholy sits on brood, and I do doubt the hatch and the disclose will be some danger, which for to prevent I have in quick determination thus set it down. He shall with speed to England for the demand of our neglected tribute. Haply the seas and countries different, with variable objects, shall expel this something settled matter in his heart, whereon his brains, still
Bereit zum
beating,
Ausrücken.
puts him thus from fashion of himself. What think you on it?
It shall do well. But yet, do I believe the origin and commencement of his grief sprung from neglected love? How now, Ophelia? You need not tell us what Lord Hamlet said. We heard it all. My lord, do as you please. But if you hold it fit, after the play, let his queen mother all alone entreat him to show his grief. Let her be round with him, and I'll be placed, so please you, in the ear of all their conference. If she find him not, to England send him, or confine him where your wisdom best shall think.
It shall be so. Madness in great ones must not.
Ihre Befehle?
Speak the speech, I pray you, as I pronounced it to you, trippingly on the tongue. But if you mouth it, as many of our players do, I had as lief the town crier spoke my lines. Nor do not saw the air too much with your hand thus, but use all gently. For in the very torrent tempest, and as I may say whirlwind of your passion, you must acquire and beget a temperance that may give it smoothness. Oh, it offends me to the soul to hear a robustious, periwig-pated fellow tear a passion to tatters, to very rags, to split the ears of the groundlings, who for the most part are capable of nothing but inexplicable dumb shows and noise. I would have such a fellow whipped for o'erdoing termagant. It out-Herods Herod. Pray you, avoid it.
I warrant, Your Honor.
Be not too tame, neither, but let your own discretion be your tutor. Suit the action to the word to the action, with this special observance, that you o'erstep not the modesty of nature. For anything so overdone is from the purpose of playing, whose end both at the first and now was and is to hold as 'twere the mirror up to
Angetreten!
to show virtue her own feature, scorn her own image, and the very age and body of time, his form and pride.
Ihre Befehle!
Now this overdone, or come tardy off, though it makes the unskillful laugh, cannot but make the judicious grieve. The censure of the which one must in your allowance overweigh a whole theatre of others. Oh, there be players that I have seen play, and heard others praise, and that highly, not to speak it profanely, that neither having the accent of Christians, nor the gait of Christian, pagan, nor man, have so strutted and bellowed, that I have thought some of nature's journeymen had made men, and not made them well. They imitated humanity so abominably.
I hope we have reformed that indifferently with us, sir.
Oh, reform it altogether. And let those that play your clowns speak no more than is set down for them. For there be of them that will laugh themselves, to set on some quantity of barren spectators to laugh too. Though in the meantime some necessary question of the play be then to be considered. That's villainous and shows a most pitiful ambition in the fool that uses it. Go make you ready.
My lord!
How now, my lord? Will the king hear this piece of work?
I and the queen too. And that
Achtung!
Bid the players make haste. Will you two help to hasten them?
Aye, my lord.
What ho, Horatio.
Here, sweet lord, at your service.
Horatio, thou art even as just a man as ever my conversation coped with.
Oh, my dear.
Nay, do not think I flatter. But what advancement may I hope from thee? That no revenue hast, but thy good spirits to feed and clothe thee. Why should the poor be flattered? No, let the candied tongue, absurd pomp, and crook the pregnant hinges of the knee, where thrift may follow fawning. Dost thou hear? Since my dear soul was mistress of her choice, and could have met distinguished, her election hath sealed thee for herself. For thou hast been as one in suffering all that suffers nothing. A man that fortune's buffets and rewards has taken with equal thanks. And blessed are those whose blood and judgment are so well commingled that they are not a pipe for fortune's finger to sound what stop she please. Give me that man that is not passion's slave, and I will wear him in my heart's core, aye, in my heart of heart, as I do thee. Something too much of this. There is a play tonight before thee.
Aye.
One scene that comes near the circumstance which I have told thee of my father's death. I prithee, when thou seest that act afoot, even with the very comment of thy soul, observe my uncle. If his occulted guilt do not itself unkennel in one speech, it is a damned ghost that we have seen, and my imaginations are as foul as Vulcan's stippy. Give him heedful note, for I mine eyes will rivet to his face, and after we will both our judgments join in censure of his seeming.
Well, my lord, if he steal aught whilst this play is playing and escape detecting, I will pay the theft.
They are coming to the play. I must be idle. Get you a place.
I will, my lord.
How fares our cousin Hamlet?
Excellent, in faith, of the chameleon's dish. I eat the air, promise cracked. You cannot be capable so.
I have nothing with this answer, Hamlet. These words are not mine.
No, nor mine now. My lord, you played once in the university, you say?
That did I, my lord, and was accounted a good actor.
What did you enact?
I did enact Julius Caesar. I was killed in the Capitol. Brutus killed me.
It was a brute part of him to kill so capital a calf there. Be the players ready?
Aye, my lord. They stay upon your patience.
Come hither, my dear Hamlet. Sit by me.
No, good mother. Here's metal more attractive.
Oh, my liege, do you know that?
Lady, shall I lie in your lap?
No, my lord.
I mean my head upon your lap.
Aye, my lord.
Do you think I'm at country matters?
I think nothing, my lord.
That's a fair thought to lie between maids' legs.
What is, my lord?
Nothing.
You are married, my lord.
Who, I?
Aye, my lord.
Oh God, you're only jigmaker. What should a man do but be merry? For look you how cheerfully my mother looks, and my father died within 2 hours.
Nay, 'tis twice 2 months, my lord.
So long. Nay, then, let the devil wear black, for I'll have a suit of sables. Oh, heavens! Died 2 months ago, and not forgotten. Then there's hope. A great man's memory may outlive his life half a year. But by your lady, he must build churches then, or else shall he suffer not thinking on with the hobby horse, whose epitaph is 4-0. The hobby horse is forgot.
What means this, my lord?
Mary, this is Mching Maleko. It means mischief.
Belike this dumb show imports the argument of the play.
We shall know by this fellow. The players cannot keep counsel. They'll tell all.
Will he tell us what this dumb show meant?
Aye, or any show you will show it. Be not you ashamed to show, he'll not shame to tell you what it means.
You are not. You are not. I'll mark the prologue.
Los!
For us and for our tragedy,
Bereit
here
zum
stooping
Ausrücken.
to your clemency, we beg your hearing patiently.
Is this a prologue or the posy of a ring? As woman's up.
Full 30 times hath Phoebus' cart gone round Neptune's sword
Befehle?
and Tellus' orbit ground. And 30
Befehle?
dozen moons with borrowed sheen about the world have times 1230s been. Since love our hearts and Hymen did our hands unite
co-mutual, in most sacred bands.
So many journeys may the sun and moon make us again count over our love be done. But woe is me, you are so sick of late, so far from cheer and from your former state, that I distrust you. Yet though I distrust, 'tis comfort you, my lord, it nothing must. For women fear too much, even as they love. And women's fear and love hold quantity, in neither or in extremity. Now what my love is, truth have made you know. And as my love is sized, my fear is so. Where love is great, the littlest doubts are feared. Where little fears grow great, great love grows.
Faith, I must leave thee, love, and shortly too. My operant powers their functions leave to do. And thou shalt live in this fair world behind, honored, beloved, and haply one is kind, for husband shalt thou.
Oh, confound the rest! Such love must needs be treason in my breast. In second husband let me be accursed, none wed the second, but who killed the first? The instances that second marriage move are base respects of thrift, but none of love. A second time I kill my husband dead, when second husband kisses me in bed.
I do believe you think what now you speak, but what we do determine oft we break. Purpose is but the slave to memory, of violent birth, but poor validity, which now the fruit unripe sticks on the tree, but fall unshaken when they mellow be. Most necessary 'tis that we forget to pay ourselves what to ourselves is debt. What to ourselves in passion we propose, the passion ending, doth the purpose lose. The violence of either grief or joy, their own enactures with themselves destroy. Where joy most revels, grief doth most lament. Grief joys, joy grieves, on slender accident. This world is not for aye, nor 'tis not strange, that even our love should with our fortunes change. For 'tis a question left us yet to prove, whether love lead fortune, or else fortune love. The great man down, you mark, his favorite flies. The poor advanced, makes friends of enemies. And hitherto doth love on fortune tend, for who not need shall never lack a friend. And who in want a hollow friend doth try, directly seasons him his enemy. But, orderly to end where I begun, our wills and fates do so contrary run, that our devices still are overthrown. Our thoughts are ours, their ends none of our own. So think thou wilt no second husband wed, but die thy thoughts when thy first lord is dead.
Nor earth to me give food, nor heaven light. Sport and repose lock from me day and night. To desperation turn my trust and hope. An anchor's cheer in prison be my scope. Each opposite that blanks the face of joy. Meet what I would have well, and it destroy. Both here and hence pursue me a lasting strife. If once a widow, ever I be wife.
She should break it now.
'Tis deeply sworn, sweet. Leave me here a while. My spirits grow dull, and fain I would beguile the tedious day with sleep.
Sleep lock thy brain, and never comes chance between us twain.
Achtung!
Madam, how like you this play?
The lady doth protest too much.
Oh, but she'll keep her word.
Have you heard the argument? Is there no offense in it?
No, they do but jest. Poison in jest. No offense in the world.
What do you call the play?
The Mousetrap. Mary, how? Trapically. This play is the image of murder done in Vienna. Gonzago is the king's name. His wife Baptista, we shall see anon. 'Tis a knavish piece of work, but what of that? Your Majesty, and we that have free souls, it touches us not. Let the gold jade wince, our withers are unwrung. This is one Lucianus, nephew to the king.
You are as good as a chorus, my lord.
I could interpret between you and your love, if I could see the puppets dallying.
You are keen, my lord, you are keen.
It would cost you a groaning to take off mine edge.
Still better and worse.
So you mistake your husbands. Begin, murderer! Pox, leave thy damnable faces and begin. Come, the croaking raven doth bellow for revenge.
Thoughts black, hands apt, drugs fit and time agreeing. Confederate season, else no creature seeing. Thou mixture rank of midnight weeds collected, with Hecate's ban thrice blasted, thrice infected. thy natural magic and dire property, unwholesome life, usurp immediately.
He poisons him in the garden for his estate. His name is Gonzago. The story is extant and written in very choice Italian. You shall see anon how the murderer gets the love of Gonzago's wife.
The king rises.
What? Frighted with false fire.
Affairs, my lord.
Give all the blade.
Give me some light. Away! Why, let the stricken deer go weep, the heart ungalled play, for some must watch while some must sleep. Thus runs the world away. Wit not this, sir, and a forest of feathers if the rest of my fortunes turn Turk with me. With 2 provincial roses on my raisin shoes, get me a fellowship and a cry of players.
Half a share.
Ah, a whole one, aye. For thou dost know, O Damon dear, this realm dismantled was of Jove himself, and now reigns here a very, very peacock.
Oh, you might have rhymed.
Oh, good Horatio. I'll take the ghost's word for £1,000. Didst perceive?
Very well, my lord.
Upon the talk of poisoning.
I did very well note it.
Come, some music! Come, the recorders! For if the king like not come thee, why then belike he likes it not perdie. Come, some music!
Good, my lord. Vouchsafe me a word.
Guildenstern, a whole history.
The king, sir.
Aye, sir, what of him?
Is in his retirement marvelous distemper.
With drink, sir?
No, my lord, with choler.
Your wisdom should show itself more richer to signify this to the doctor, Rosencrantz.
Right,
Me
some
to put him
ausrücken.
to his purgation would perhaps plunge him into more choler.
Good, my lord.
Ihre
Put the discourse
Befehle.
into some frame and start not so wildly from my affair.
I am tame, sir.
So queen, your mother, in most great affliction of spirit, hath sent me to you.
You are welcome.
Nay, good my lord, this courtesy is not of the right breed. If it shall please you to make me a wholesome answer, I will do your mother's commandment. If not,
Bereit zum
depart,
Ausrücken.
and my return shall be the end of my business.
Sir, I cannot.
What?
Achtung!
Make you a wholesome answer. My wits disease.
Ihre Befehle.
But, sir, such answer as I can make, you shall command, or rather, as you say, my mother. Therefore, no more but to the matter. My mother, you say.
Then thus she says, your behavior hath struck her into amazement and admiration.
Oh, wonderful son that can so astonish a mother! But is there no sequel at the heels of this mother's admiration? Impart.
She desires to speak with you in her closet ere you go to bed.
Oh, we shall obey, were she 10 times our mother. Have you any further trade with us?
My lord, you once did love me.
And do still by these pickers and stealers.
Good my lord, what is your cause of distemper? You do surely bar the door upon your own liberty if you deny your griefs to your friends.
Sir, I lack advancement.
How can that be when you have the voice of the king himself for your succession in Denmark?
Aye, sir, but while the grass grows, the proverb is something musty.
My Lord Hamlet.
Here you record us.
Oh, let me see one. To withdraw you, Guildenstern, why do you go about to recover the wind of me as if you would drive me into a trap?
Oh, my lord, if my duty be too bold, my love is too unmannerly.
I do not well understand that. Will you play upon this pipe?
My lord, I cannot.
I pray you.
Believe me, I cannot.
I do beseech you.
I know no touch of it, my lord.
Ihre Befehle.
As easy as lying. Govern these ventages with your fingers and thumb. Give it breath with your mouth, and it will discourse most eloquent music. Look you, these are the stops.
Achtung!
These cannot I command to any utterance of harmony. I have not the skill.
Why, look you now, how unworthy a thing you make of me. You would play upon me. You would seem to know my stops. You would pluck out the heart of my mystery. You would sound me from my lowest note to the top of my compass. And there is much music, excellent voice in this little organ. Yet cannot you make it speak? Splud! Do you think I am easier to be played on than a pipe? Call me what instrument you will, though you can fret me, you cannot play upon me.
My lord,
God bless you, sir.
the queen would speak with you, and presently.
Do you see yonder cloud that's almost in shape of a camel?
By the mass, and 'tis like a camel indeed.
Methinks it is like a weasel.
It is backed like a weasel,
Or like a whale.
very like a whale.
Then I will come to my mother by and by. They fool me to the top of my bent. I will come by and by.
I will say so.
By and by is easily said. Leave me, friends. 'Tis now the very witching time of night, when churchyards yawn and hell itself breathes out contagion to this world. Now could I drink hot blood, and do such bitter business as the day would quake to look on. Soft. Now to my mother. O heart, lose not thy nature. Let not ever the soul of Nero enter this firm bosom. Let me be cruel, not unnatural. I will speak daggers to her, but use none. My tongue and soul in this be hypocrites. How in my words somever she be shent. To give them seals, never my soul consent.
I like him not, nor stands it safe with us to let his madness range. Therefore prepare you. I your commission will forthwith dispatch, and he to England shall along with you. The terms of our estate may not endure hazard so near us as doth hourly grow out of his brows.
We will ourselves provide. Most holy and religious fear it is to keep those many, many bodies safe that live and feed upon your majesty.
The single and peculiar life is bound with all the strength and armor of the mind to keep itself from annoyance, but much more that spirit upon whose will depends and rests the lives of many. The cease of majesty dies not alone, but like a gulf doth draw what's near it with it. Or it is a massy wheel fixed on the summit of the highest mount, to whose huge spokes 10,000 lesser things are mortised and adjoined, which, when it falls, each small annexment, petty consequence, attends the boisterous ruin. Never alone did the king sigh, but with a general groan.
Arm you, I pray you, to this speedy voyage, for we will fetters put about this fear, which now goes too free-footed.
We will haste us, your majesty.
My lord, he's going to his mother's closet. Behind the arras I'll convey myself to hear the process. Alwarden shall tax him home. And as you said, and wisely was it said, 'tis meet that some more audience than a mother, since nature makes them partial, should all hear the speech of vantage. Fare you well, my liege. I'll call upon you ere you go to bed and tell you what I know.
Thanks, dear my lord. My offense is rank. It smells to heaven. It hath the primal eldest curse upon it, a brother's murder. Pray can I not, though inclination be as sharp as will. My stronger guilt defeats my strong intent, and like a man to double business bound, I stand in pause where I shall first begin, then both neglect. What if this cursed hand were thicker than itself with brother's blood? Is there not rain enough in the sweet heavens to wash it white as snow? Whereto serves mercy, but to confront the visage of offense? And what's in prayer, but this twofold force, to be forestalled ere we come to fall, or pardoned being down? Then I look on. My fault is past. But oh, what form of prayer can serve my turn? Forgive me my foul murder? That cannot be, since I am still possessed of those effects for which I did the murder, my crown, mine own ambition, and my queen. May one be pardoned and retain the offense? In the corrupted currents of this world, offence's gilded hand may shove by justice, and oft, 'tis seen, the wicked prize itself buys out the law, but 'tis not so above. There is no shuffling. There the action lies in its true nature, and we ourselves compelled with the teeth and forehead of our faults to give it evidence. What then? What rests? Try what repentance can. What can it not? Yet what can it? When one cannot repent. Oh, wretched state. Oh, bosom black as death. Oh, limed soul that's struggling to be free, I'm more engaged. Help, angels! Make essay. Bow, stubborn knees, and heart with strings of steel be soft as sinews of a newborn babe. All may be well.
Now might I do it. That. Now he's praying. And now I'll do it. and so he goes to heaven. And so am I revenged. He's scared. A villain kills my father, and for that, I, his sole son, do the same villain sent to heaven. Why, this is hire and salary, not revenge. He took my father grossly, full of bread, with all his crimes broad blown, as flush as May. And how his audit stands, who knows, save heaven. But in our circumstance and course of thought, 'tis heavy with him. And am I then revenged to take him in the purging of his soul, when he is fit and seasoned for his passage? No. Up, sword, and know thou a more horrid hint. When he is drunk, or in his rage, or in the incestuous pleasure of his bed, game, a swearing, or about some act that has no relish of salvation in it, then trip him, that his heels may kick at heaven, and that his soul may be as damned and black as hell whereto it goes. My mother stays. His physic prolongs thy sickly days.
My words dry up, my thoughts remain below. Words without thoughts never to heaven go.
Madam, he will be straight. Look to lay hold to him. Tell him his pranks have been too broad to bear with, and that your grace hath screened and stood between much heat and him. Our silence be even here. Pray you be round with him. Mother! Mother! Mother!
I'll warrant you. Fear me not. Withdraw. I hear him coming.
Now, mother, what's the matter?
Hamlet, thou hast thy father much offended.
Mother, you have my father much offended.
Come, you answer with an idle tongue.
Go, go, you question with a wicked tongue.
Why, how now, Hamlet?
What's the matter now?
Have you forgot me?
No, by the rude, not so. You are the queen, your husband's brother's wife. And would it were not so, you are my mother.
Nay, then I'll set those to you that can speak.
Come, come, and sit you down. You shall not budge. You go not till I set you up a glass where you may see the inmost part of you.
What wilt thou do? Thou wilt not murder me? Help! Ho!
Ho! Help! How now, a rat? Dead for a ducat, dead!
I am slain.
Oh me, what hast thou done?
Nay, I know not. Is it the king?
Oh, what rash and bloody deed is this?
A bloody deed. Almost as bad, good mother, as kill a king and marry with his brother.
As kill a king?
Aye, lady, it was my word. Rash, intruding fool, farewell. I took thee for thy better. Take thy fortune. Thou find'st to be too busy as some danger. Leave wringing of your hands. Peace, sit you down! And let me wring your heart. For so I shall, if it be made of penetrable stuff. If damned custom have not brazed it so that it be proof and bulwark against sense.
What have I done that thou darest wag thy tongue in noise so rude against me?
Such an act that blurs the grace and blush of modesty, calls virtue hypocrite, takes off the rose from the fair forehead of an innocent love and sets a blister there, makes marriage vows as false as dicers' oaths. Such a deed as from the body of contraction plucks the very soul, and sweet religion makes a rhapsody of words. Heaven's face does glow o'er this solidity and compound mass with heated visage, as against the doom it's thought-sick at the act.
I mean, what act that roars so loud and thunders in the index?
Look here, upon this picture, and on this, the counterfeit presentment of two brothers. See, what a grace was seated on this brow. Hyperion's curves, the front of Jove himself, an eye like Mars to threaten and command. A station like the herald Mercury, new lighted on a heaven-kissing hill. A combination and a form indeed, where every god did seem to set his seal to give the world assurance of a man. This was your husband. Look you now what follows. Here is your husband, like a mildewed ear, blasting his wholesome brother. Have you eyes? Could you on this fair mountain leave to feed and batten on this moor, huh? Have you eyes? You cannot call it love, for at your age the heyday in the blood is tame. It's humble and waits upon the judgment. What judgment would step from this to this? Sense sure you have, else could you not have moved. But sure that sense is apoplexed, for madness would not err. Your sense to ecstasy was ne'er so thralled, but it reserved some quantity of choice to serve in such a difference. What devil was it that thus hath cozened you at Hoodman blind? Eyes without feeling, feeling without sight, ears without hands or eyes, smelling sandsol, or but a sickly part of one true sense could not so mope. Oh, shame, where is thy blush? Rebellious hell, if thou canst mutiny at a matron's bones, to flaming youth let virtue be as wax and melt in her own fire. Proclaim no shame when the compulsive ardor gives the charge, since frost itself as actively doth burn, and reason panders will.
Oh, Hamlet, speak no more. Thou turns my eyes into my very soul, and there I see such black and grained spots as will not leave their tint.
Nay, but to live in the rank sweat of an enseamed bed, stewed in corruption, honeying and making love over the nasty sty.
Speak to me no more. These words like daggers enter in my ears. No more, sweet Hamlet.
A murderer and a villain. A slave that is not 20th part the tithe of your preceding lord. A vice of kings. A cut-purse of the empire and the rule. That from a shelf the precious diadem stole and put it in his pocket.
No more!
A king of shreds and patches! Ah!
Hamlet.
Say, hover over me with your wings, you heavenly gods. What would your gracious figure?
Angetreten.
Do you not come your tardy son to chide?
Ihre Befehle?
Lapsed in time and passion, let's go by the important acting of your dread command. Oh, say!
Do not forget, this visitation is but to whet thy almost blunted purpose. But look, amazement on thy mother sits.
Befehle!
Step between her and her fighting soul. Conceit in weakest body, strongest works. Speak to her, Hamlet.
Befehle!
How is it with you, lady?
Alas, how is it with you? That you do bend your eye on vacancy, and with the incorporeal air do hold discourse. Forth at your eyes your spirits wildly peep, and as the sleeping soldiers in the alarm, your bedded hair, like life in excrements, start up and stand an end. O gentle sun, upon the heat and flame of thy distemper, sprinkle cool patience. Whereon do you look?
On him! On him! Look you how pale he glares! His form and cause conjoined, preaching to stones would make them capable. Father, do not look upon me, lest with this piteous action you convert my stern thanks. And what I have to do will you tears, perchance for blood.
Zuhören!
Do you see nothing there?
Nothing at all, yet all that is I see.
Nor did you nothing here?
No, nothing but ourselves.
Why, look you there! Look how it steals away! My father, in his habit has he lived? Look where he goes even now, out of the portal!
This is the very coinage of your brain. This bodiless ecstasy is very cunning in.
Ecstasy? My pulse, as yours, doth temperately keep time and makes as healthful music. It is not madness that I have uttered. Bring me to the test, and I the matter will reword which madness would gambol from. Mother, for love of grace, lay not that flattering unction to your soul. If not your trespass, but my madness speaks, it will but skin and film the ulcerous place, whilst rank corruption, mining all within, infects unseen. Confess yourself to heaven. Repent what's past, avoid what's to come, and do not spread the compost on the weeds to make them ranker. Forgive me this, my virtue, for in the fatness of these pursy times, virtue itself of vice must pardon beg, yet curb and woo for leave to do him good.
Oh, Hamlet, thou hast cleft my heart in twain.
Oh, throw away the worser part of it, and live the purer with the other half. Go not to my woman's bed. Assume a virtue if you have it not. That monster custom, who all sense defeat of habit's devil, is angel yet in this. That to the use of actions, fair and good, he likewise gives a frock or livery that aptly is put on. Refrain to it, and that shall lend a kind of easiness to the next abstinence.
Angetreten!
More easy, for no swords can change the stamp of nature, and either shame the devil or throw him out with wondrous potency. Once more, good night. And when you are desirous to be blessed, I beg of you. For the same Lord, I do repent. But heaven hath pleased it so to punish me with this, and this with me, that I must be their scourge and minister. I will bestow him, and and will answer well the death I gave her. So again, good night. I must be cruel only to you. Thus bad begins, and worse remains behind. One word more.
Ausrücken!
What shall I do?
Not this, by no means that I bid you to. Let the bloat kill
Angetreten!
you again to bed. Pinch wanton on your cheek, call you his mouse, and let him for a pair of reechy kisses, or paddling in your neck with his damned fingers, make you to ravel all this matter out, that I essentially am not in madness, but mad in craft. 'Twere good you let him know, for who that's but a queen, fair, sober, wise, would from a paddock, from a bat, a jib, such dear concernings hide? Who would do so? No, in despite of sense and secrecy, unpeg the basket on the house's top. Let the birds fly, and like the famous ape, to try conclusions in the basket creep, and break your own neck down.
Be thou assured, words be made of breath, and breath of life. I have no life to
Befehle?
without this.
I must to England, you know that.
Alack, I had forgot. 'Tis so concluded on?
There's letters sealed. My two schoolfellows, whom I will trust as I will adders fanged, they bear the mandate. They must sweep my way and marshal me to England. That is work. For 'tis the sport to have the engineer hoist with his own petard, and it shall go hard. But I will delve 1 yard below
Bereit zum
their
Ausrücken!
minds and blow them at the moon. Oh, 'tis most sweet when in one line two breaths directly meet. This man shall set me back. I'll lug the guts into the megaline. Good night indeed. This council
Achtung!
is now most still, most secret, and most brave.
Befehle!
Who was in life a foolish, prating knave.
Befehle!
Come, sir, to draw toward an end with you.
Angetreten!
Good night, mother.
Achtung! Befehle! Angetreten! Angetreten!
When shall we
Zeigt es ihnen!
in thunder, lightning, or in rain?
When the hurly-burly's done, when the battle's lost and won. That will be ere the set of sun.
Where the place?
Upon the heath. There to meet with Macbeth.
I come,
geht's.
Malkin.
Paddock calls. Anon. Fair is foul and foul is fair. Hover through the fog and fill the air.
What bloody man is that? He can report, deceived by his plight, of the revolt, the new estate.
Sergeant, father, like a good and hardy soldier, buck ends my captivity. Hail, brave Fred. Say to King Duncan the knowledge of the broil as you did leave it.
Doubtful it stood, as two spent swimmers that do cling together and choke their art. The merciless MacDonald, worthy to be a rebel, for to that the multiplying villainies of nature do swarm upon him. From the western isles of foot soldiers and horsemen is supplied. And fortune, on his damned quarrel smiling, showed like a rebel's whore. But all's too weak. For brave Macbeth, well he deserved that name, disdaining fortune with his brandished steel, which smote with bloody execution, like valor's minion carved out his passage till he faced the slave. Macbeth never shook hands nor bade farewell to him till he unseamed him from navel to the chops, fixed his head upon our battle.
Oh, valiant cousin, worthy gentlemen!
Aye, as when the sun gins his reflection, shipwreck in storms and direful thunders break. So from that spring whence comfort seemed to come, discomfort swells. Mark, King of Scotland, mark. No sooner justice had with valor armed compelled those skipping soldiers to trust their heels, but the Norwegian lord, surveying vantage, with furbished arms and new supplies of men, began a fresh assault.
Dismayed not this our captains, Macbeth and Banquo?
Aye, as sparrows eagles, or hair and iron. If I say truth, I must report they were as cannons overcharged with double cracks, so they doubly redoubled strokes upon the foe. If they meant to bathe in reeking wounds or memorize another though, I cannot tell. Ah! I am faint. My gash is private.
So well your words become you as your wounds. They smack of armor blows. Go get them, sergeant.
Ihre Befehle!
The worthy Thane of Ross.
What a hate looks through his eyes! So should he look that seems to speak things strange.
God save the king. Whence come you, worthy Thane?
From Fife, great king, where the Norwegian banners flout the sky and fan our people cold.
Angetreten!
Norway himself, with terrible numbers, assisted by that most disloyal traitor, a Thane of Cawdor, began a dismal conflict till that Bellona's bridegroom, great Macbeth, clad in armor of proven worth, confronted him with self-comparisons, point against point rebellious, arm against arm, curbing his lavish spirit, and to conclude, the victory fell on us!
Oh, great happiness!
That now, Sweno, Norway's king, now asks for terms. Norway gave burial of his men till he dispersed at St. Column's Inch $10,000 to our general needs.
That Thane of Cawdor shall deceive our bosom interest. Go, pronounce his present death. And with his former title, read Macbeth.
I'll see it done.
What he has lost, noble Macbeth has won!
Aye. Weiter, weiter!
In all den Jahren, die sie für das Dezernat gearbeitet und Einblick in geheimste Angelegenheiten gehabt hatte, war Alex nie etwas von einem Drogenboss zu Ohren gekommen, der Interesse an Massenvernichtungswaffen gehabt hätte. Wenn es allerdings um satten Profit ging, konnte man im Grunde niemandem über den Weg trauen. Es war jedoch ein Unterschied, ob man durch den Verkauf von etwas profitierte oder irgendetwas freisetzte. Mitte der 90er Jahre hatte De La Fuentes durch, gelinde gesagt, feindliche Übernahme ein mittelgroßes kolumbianisches Unternehmen in seinen Besitz gebracht und dann mehrere Versuche unternommen, direkt an der Grenze zu Arizona eine Basis aufzubauen.